welcome to the deep dive. You know, there's this constant buzz, maybe even anxiety in the tech world about automation and AI. Particularly the fear that they're coming for developers' jobs.
Yeah, that narrative is definitely out there. Algorithms replacing coders, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if that's not the whole story? Like, think about a developer maybe spending half their week just wrestling with tedious regression tests. Today, we're going to dig into something that challenges that fear head on. Yeah. We looked at this article, ZAPTEST, Empowering Coders in the Age of Automation. And it paints a really different picture. It suggests automation isn't the enemy here. It's actually, well, a tool for empowerment.
Right. And our mission today, really, is to pull out the key ideas from that article about how ZAPTEST specifically tries to lift coders out of that repetitive grind. The idea is to let them focus on the more innovative, higher value stuff, ultimately securing and even elevating their role.
Okay, so the core concept isn't competition, it's collaboration in a sense. But like, how does ZAPTEST actually change a coder's day-to-day? What does it do?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. It basically handles the heavy lifting. Think about all that mind-numbing regression testing or fixing tests that break constantly just because a tiny UI element changes. ZAPTEST aims to automate that.
The brittle script problem. Nightmare fuel for developers.
Totally. So by taking that off their plate, developers can pivot. They can shift from just fixing things to actually, designing better systems, building smarter frameworks, thinking bigger picture.
Okay, that makes sense. It's shifting the type of work.
Precisely. It's less reactive, more proactive, and creative.
And the article mentions a key feature for this one script. What exactly is that, and how does it tackle the maintenance headache?
Right. One script. It's pretty much what it sounds like. You write your automation script once, and the idea is it runs across different platforms, web, mobile, desktop, API, you name it. That alone is huge for cutting down redundant work.
Okay, write once, run anywhere. That's the dream.
Exactly. And it gets better. The article highlights how they use AI and computer vision. So the system can kind of see the screen like a human does and adapt if things change slightly, like a button moving. This drastically cuts down on that brittle script maintenance we talked about.
Wow, okay, so the AI handles minor UI shifts automatically.
That's the goal, yeah, to make the automation much more resilient and less fragile.
That sounds incredibly efficient. But setting up something that comprehensive, is it complex? Does the article mention potential hurdles, like a steep learning curve or hidden costs?
That's a really valid point. The source touches on two things there. First, the licensing. They mention it's unlimited.
Unlimited, so no per user or per robot fees.
Apparently not, which removes a major barrier for companies wanting to scale their automation efforts widely.
Okay, that tackles the cost concern. What about the complexity, the how-to?
Right. The second point is support. You get access to dedicated ZEP experts. These aren't just generic support staff. They're specialists there to provide guidance, hands-on help, and basically make sure teams adopt it smoothly and don't get, bogged down.
So dedicated expert support built in. That could make a big difference in adoption.
Yeah, it seems designed to lower that barrier to entry and ensure success.
So pulling this all together, the article suggests ZAPTEST helps coders evolve. They become automation architects. What does that actually look like? How is it different?
It's a fundamental shift. Instead of spending all day debugging flaky tests or running the same checks over and over, these automation architects are thinking more strategically. They might be mentoring junior folks, connecting the dots between QA and DevOps, maybe even talking to the business side.
So more strategic, less tactical.
Definitely. They're designing the overall automation strategy for the company, building intelligent end-to-end systems. They're orchestrators, not just scriptwriters.
That sounds like a significant elevation of the role.
It really is. It reframes their value entirely. So, yeah, the main takeaway here is pretty clear. ZAPTEST, according to the article, shows how automation can be a catalyst, not a threat. It handles the repetitive tasks, the grunt work like regression and script maintenance, and it lets coders step up into these more strategic automation architect roles, helped by things like OneScript, AI vision, unlimited licensing, and that dedicated ZAP expert support.
Right. So a fascinating look at how automation could enhance rather than replace jobs in coding. Which leaves us with a thought for you, our listener. If a platform like ZAPTEST can potentially pivot a coder's role from routine tasks towards strategic design and innovation, what might that imply for other fields facing automation? Could this be a kind of blueprint for how human roles evolve alongside AI across many different professions? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.